Hi. 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 Hello. Hi. One of these should work. I want to share the story behind Adventure, the little short animation I made 10 years ago, and talk a bit about the process that went into its creation, including the sound design I made for it recently, something I'm relatively new at. So let's go back 10 years. It's 2015. I dropped out of school, feeling like it was a serious waste of time and money. I wasn't learning enough. I wanted to shift my focus away from visual development and instead pursue animation, feeling like I could make it on my own without needing a degree. I ended up going back after taking the spring and summer to realize I needed to finish what I started. I was making lots of little Flash animations at the time. I loved using Flash. I really enjoyed the simplicity and how it forced me to get creative and to work around the limitations, which is how I do my best work. I remember wanting to make a complete short film with a beginning, middle, and end, and I didn't want it to be too ambitious, and I wanted to complete it quickly. My inspiration was an artist that completely changed my thinking and approach toward creating art, Norman McLaren. About a year or two earlier, I was questioning, what is art, visually speaking? What's the point? I couldn't really articulate what I felt art was and wasn't really satisfied with most of the art I used to think was good, which was mostly, if not all, representational. Then I found Norman, and it was like I had found the key. His famous quote, "Animation is not the art of drawings that move, but the art of movements that are drawn," summarized exactly what I couldn't say. Art is an expression of feelings, emotions, ideas that aren't bound by physical limitations. It's important to understand the order. It's not the visual first, it's the movement. And what is movement? It's certainly more than just the motion of an object. When we feel something, when we are emotional, we are moved inside. That is the truest, most raw form of movement. Norman understood this better than most and was able to distill movement in its most pure form. I wanted to capture movements and emotions with as few ingredients as possible. Dots, lines, color, timing, spacing, squash and stretch. The story created itself, one scene after the next. I was going on the adventure while I was making it. Like David Lynch said,
the ideas tell you how they want to be.
I believe we should have a conversation with the art as it's being made. Listen more than talk. It will tell you when it's right or not. And you make water. Okay, you're good. It will tell you when it's right or not, and you make adjustments as you go, like a dance. So I finished the animation, and that was it. I don't think I had the intention to share it, only to make it. So I stashed it away and left it alone. 10 years later, I'm going through my old hard drive, which I call Old Red. I found a folder called Flash. I had no way of opening any of the files though, since they're all .fla. I stopped using Adobe for many years now, but knew there was no other way. So I scoured the internet and eventually found several old Flash versions. I couldn't remember which version I used to use, but knew it was after it became Creative Cloud and before they renamed it Animate. Next, I had to figure out how to actually install and open the files. I'm a Linux user, and with Linux, where there's a will, there's a way. There are several ways to run Windows apps on Linux, but I opted to use Bottles, which is a super nice way of using Wine. Wine lets you run Windows apps on non-Windows operating systems like Linux and Mac. I tinkered around a bit with Bottles to get Flash to install correctly, and had some moments where I thought it wasn't going to work, but kept trying, and thankfully I got in, being immediately hit with waves of nostalgia. I felt right at home with the weird interface. There was no dark mode back in those days. I went through a bunch of random animations, which was fun, and eventually found Adventure. I was super excited and happy, like seeing a friend I haven't seen in years. Upon reflection, I feel like it's one of my best animations because it does its job telling a story and it conveys emotion while being uncluttered by details that don't matter. It's raw.
It's raw. You're gonna kill someone.
The only thing it needed was sound. I've dabbled at making sounds for many years. It's one of my main loves next to visual art. Normally I use presets and samples, tweaking envelopes, filters, generators, until I find something that sounds right. But recently, I found Amphivolia, an artist that helped me understand and develop a foundation for referencing and making sounds from scratch. His video on how to sound design ecosystems is a masterclass. I learned about the usefulness of spectrograms, which was like a light bulb moment. With a spectrogram, you're able to see harmonics and overtones, timing, changes in pitch, intensity, it's all there. The other really valuable thing I learned was how to effectively change the pitch of a sound using LFOs, which are low frequency oscillators. I have so much to learn on the topic of sound design, but I find the process really fun. I used a free VST called Vital for all the synth sounds, using only a rounded square wave, LFOs for pitch automation, and some random sample and hold to play the melody for the May sequence. I also used Vital to create the ominous sounding wind, using brown noise and distortion. Everything else was sampled using Bitwig's sampler instrument to add some variation. So that's it. I'm happy to share this little story with you. I think it's awesome to be able to look back on the journey of life and remember how we got to where we are, always with the spirit of adventure. Bye for now. Bye bye. I'll see you next time. Till next time, bye.
If you looked at a single frame of film, you'd say, well, that doesn't mean anything. It's not, there's no images there. But once the thing goes into motion, the things that are there, no matter what kind of shapes they may be, can behave in a human or animal way.